This is another Big Brother 27 live feed update. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. Get me to 1,000 subs. So now, right before the veto began, we had RYLIE riled up about who he plans on targeting if he wins HOH. So I'm going to talk about that. Also, the other thing I'm going to talk about is Rachel trying to work with KEANU once again so he can target Vince, because that's the primary person she's been mentioning along with Jimmy. And she basically promised him that if he wins the veto, she'll give him the names of who he should be focused on, because he revealed who he would target, which was, all of her girls. And so, of course, she's going to try to deflect him away from that to target the dudes. Yes, even Jimmy the gay. But the primary target would be Vince in her mind. So, but first let me start with the RYLIE rant. Basically, he popped into Lauren's HOH room and, he just started to talk. First, he was curious about who the replacement nom would be if one of the nominees win veto. She wouldn't really give him an answer because why would she? But he did name Ashley, and she made it seem like she would do that, but being who Lauren is in this game, she's talking about, that would start something very bad. Again, Ashley, along with Morgan and Mickey, want Lauren evicted pre-jury. And so I could see that moron putting up Adrian still. And again, it makes Lauren useless. She's not playing the showman's archetype that she's there to serve. And you could give her an excuse if, she's not about showmances, but she's about being a gamer. But she's not that either. She's just in there to be some weak punk that won't go after the girls, even though the only girl she really gets along with and talks to most of the time is Catherine. Hell, she's more chummy with Jimmy than the rest of the girls. But that's about it from what I've seen. Obviously, they've stepped up their kiss butt. Morgan's been all up in her face. Should be a red flag. All of the girls are mentioning, hey, put up Adrian if a replacement nom is needed. And again, these are all people that didn't talk to her or try to talk to her about game before she won HOH. Will she take that as a hint? Probably not. But anyway, the main interesting thing was RYLIE pointing out on the HOH screen. Catherine would later pop into this as well. But anyway, he was pointing at the screen saying, who he sees together all the time. He was pointing. He didn't name any names, but based on, what you can assume, and he did mention Rachel once, but he was primarily talking about, Morgan, because he knows Morgan said his name. Somebody told him that Morgan was trying to get him on the block. He knows Morgan's close to Mickey. And then there's Rachel. Now, he could either be talking about Rachel or Ashley if she's still there, as far as people that he would nominate, but he also, questioned Rachel as well. And, you and I know, people who are honest about the intentions of production, we know that CBS is not allowing RYLIE to target those people he was pointing out in Mickey, Morgan, Rachel, and Ashley. Because even if he lucks up and wins HOH, watch, the mastermind will suddenly pop up and make himself relevant again and spray diamonds all over the house, which of course only the women are able to find those diamonds in the form of vetoes. It's just like when Cameron won the long-awaited pressure cooker comp that they brought back. He won that comp, and then what did Big Brother do? Threw some twist BS to pretty much make his HOH reign irrelevant. So that's what they would do here. I mean, Mickey does have the power. And I don't know if Riley's one of the ones that speculated that Mickey could have it, but we know people are aware that she has it. And I don't even think somebody like even Zach would let Riley know that Mickey has it. That way he could call it out and not get his HOH hijacked. And again, that's speculating on whether or not he would be allowed to win on HOH, because we've seen so far none of the HOHs have been fully competitive. They've either not allowed the majority of the house to compete, or they've just been a bunch of BS gimmick games that aren't real competitions. And I wouldn't be surprised if this latest HOH with Lauren was another, non-competitive comp. But again, it was interesting enough though to hear him riled up. Now, funny enough, it seems like the production didn't want people to hear him riled up about who he was pointing at. Too many black women. Because, they recently found out, BB Twitter, that Morgan is in fact half black. Because I have to be honest, when I first saw her pic, I just thought she was just Jewish, because of her fair skin and black curly hair. But then I, checked out her Instagram and saw, okay, she's another mulatto. But yeah, they've been doing a lot of that. Even if somebody's not riled up, they'll just go to the oil painting, will be right back screen, or just cut to a room where no one's doing anything. I mean, the live feeds have been heavily censored. And so that's why quite frankly, I just look for 2 or 3 moments that happen in the house game-wise. If I catch some drama stuff, okay, that's good. But yeah, 2 or 3 things that I can talk about, I get that, and then I just stop watching the feeds because, they suck. What's not happening game-wise, because, we're in the post-BB22 era, so there's no game happening. So what's not happening there, hell, you don't even get the social drama because they're always consistently censoring the live feeds. And luckily I have a life outside of watching feeds anyway, so really don't much miss watching the feeds as much as I used to do back when I first started watching them, pre Big Brother 20s. But yeah, it does seem like Rachel would rather KEANU to stay, especially after Kelly played that game with her. And even RYLIE, that's another thing, he was vouching for KEANU, talking about how he would be a steady target for people. And that's so funny because Rachel wants KEANU to stay, but Morgan wants KEANU to go. So it'll be interesting if they're conflicting on that issue. Maybe that'll take Morgan's blinders off, because I have to say Morgan is like the #1 Rachel simp in the house. We got to get her to jury. We got to get her to jury. And that's the people these morons on Twitter, of course, are complimenting for being a great gamer, because she's like actively #1 Rachel simp. At the very least, Ashley will occasionally talk crap about Rachel, and Mickey would, remind Morgan that we can't let Rachel get too far. But it's like, Morgan can't fathom the idea of letting Rachel go, while she claims she's going after targets, big targets, but she doesn't want to go after Rachel. Rachel done found her final 2 GOAT. Since Amy's gone, apparently she made one with Ava, a final 2, because she sees her as an easy win. But anyway, we'll see if The only interesting outcome from the veto would be KEANU winning. Just to see Rachel try to play that game with him. Which is silly, especially knowing that KEANU really can't help himself when he runs his mouth.